Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this evening's episode of the Big Dan Campbell Meltdown of the Bottom Line. God, I'm not even a Lions fan, and I'm still pissed about last night's game. Oh, my God. Anyway, before we get into it, let's bring on all of our esteemed co-hosts. Excuse me. First and foremost, from the frozen tundra of Iowa, we're bringing on Easy E, Eric Mertu. From Alabama, where the roster sizes are big, Mr. Brett Tierce, Brett the Hitman himself. How you doing, Brett?
What's up, fellas? Some interesting ball this weekend.
Good Lord, I can't even hardly talk yet. And let's bring in our esteemed producer, none other than A-Train.
The man, the myth,
the man, the myth, the legend. One of the original two of the XFL podcasts. He's probably beating Dan Campbell. So there he is. I thought maybe he was beating on Dan too, but
stupid freaking camera.
I thought he was fixing to say stupid freaking Campbell.
Hey, listen, Dan Gamble is his name from this point on. Dan Gamble is his name. Dan Gamble, ladies and gentlemen.
Dan, I can't read the room, Campbell. So let's go. Let's go. In fact, why don't we start off A-Train with his post-game press conference?
Okay.
Where he tries to explain what happened.
All right, here we go.
I just felt really good about us converting and getting our momentum and not letting them play long ball. They were bleeding the clock out. That's what they do. And I wanted to get the upper hand back, and it's easy hindsight, and I get it, I get that. But I don't regret those decisions. And that's hard.
You should.
It's hard because we didn't
hindsight.
We weren't able to work out, but I don't.
Hindsight. I was jumping through my freaking screen at the time it happened. What are you talking about? Hindsight.
Hey.
Is
this your time, sir?
Just go ahead, Ed.
We just as well start off with where we're going to get it out of the way. Okay. There's such a thing as a head coach to being able to read the room, read the stadium, read the fan. You call it what you want. Halftime, 24-7. The crowd's out of the game. The body language of the 49ers is out of the game. The Lions are hitting on all cylinders. You come out from halftime with a 17-point lead. You kick off to the 49ers. They make their way down the field. You stiffen up. You hold them to a field goal. So now it's 24-10. What happens? The Lions get the ball. They go right down the field, and they get into field goal range. So now you have a chance to keep momentum on your side, give the 49ers absolutely no reason to think they're going to get back in this game, keep the crowd out of this game, keep the momentum, kick the damn field goal, and go back up by 17 points. You look up at the clock, and now everybody's seeing 8 minutes has been burned away already in the third quarter, and you just put it right back at 17. The momentum is reestablished. Who knows where we go from there? But what happens? Oh, my God, I'm glad I'm only 30 seconds into my 2-minute rant, because here we go. He says, I'm going to go for it. This isn't like the regular season when you're playing a bunch of a lot of teams on your schedule are a bunch of nobodies, and the games are irrelevant. The games you're way ahead. You got plenty of a lead. You can do that fourth down crap. Now you're in the Final Four, baby. You're with the best of the best. You're with the teams that are no joke, that don't fall for all that gimmick crap and all this fourth down madness, stupid. You got to play the room. You kick the damn field goal, because now what happens? Fourth down, you get stopped. You see the body language of the 49er defense. They're jumping up and down, man. They're fired up. The sideline's jumping up and down. The crowd is going crazy. What happens? The 49ers go right down the field and score a touchdown. So now, instead of 27-10, now it's 24-17. The Sphinxters are starting to tighten up. And what happens? The 49ers kick to the Lions, and they fumble the ball away. And before you even have a chance to go to the refrigerator and get a beer and maybe a nacho or two, they've erased a 17-point lead because you've got a head coach that has no clue, absolutely no clue of the momentum shift that caused. He single-handedly stole that game away from his players. His players deserved better than that, and their head coach hung them out to dry. You can say anything you want about drop passes, fumbles, you name it. All that happened because the momentum shifted, the crowd got into the game, it rattled the Lions, and what happens then? The Lions reestablish themselves, and they get it. They stop it, 24-24. 49ers get the ball. They drive the field. Lions stop them. What do the 49ers do? They kick the damn field goal and go up 27-24. So what do they say about mistakes? If you learn from mistakes, they're valuable. If you continue to make the same mistake over and over, you're just an idiot. So what happens? 27-24, Lions get the ball, drive down the field, get in field goal range, fourth down, 8 minutes left to go in the game. What do? Kick the damn field goal, get the game tied up, get your group together. Everybody's driving for the one common goal, the last 8 minutes of the game to get to the Super Bowl. But what do? You go for it on fourth down once again and don't get it. And so instead of 27-27, it's 27-24. 49ers go right down the field, and you go from a 27-27 tie to a 34-24 two-score game that's now out of reach. Unforgivable. Dan Campbell is the biggest nincompoop that I have ever seen of a head coach in a championship game. The Lions deserve to go to the Super Bowl, and he single-handedly robbed his team of it. Other than that, everything else went pretty good, I think. Good Lord. How can I sit on my couch? How can I sit on my couch as the average Joe? I ain't making jack. And I am literally screaming at my TV. And he is living it. He is actually living it as the head coach of the Detroit Lions. And he can't figure it out. It's just astounding to me.
Now, listen, I'm going to piggyback on that a little bit. But I'm going to tell you, what you just said is correct. But I will say this. Dan Campbell has two things going against him. In the first half, at the end of the second, okay, they drive down there. What was it? 4th and 2 for a first down, or 3 yards to score a touchdown.
You damn right, Kyle. He should be fired.
What I'm saying is this. If Dan Campbell is the big gambler that he was, and that he proved in the second half and it backfired, why in the hell did he not, the way they were running the ball, the way they were doing their thing in the first half, why would he not go? Why would he not go? You know what the difference going into halftime? 28-7 as opposed to 24-7? That's almost out of reach. But I will say the biggest problem that Dan Campbell has going against him is this. He cannot separate being a former player and a coach. He operates in the head coaching sphere as a former player. If you're a coach and you go to a player and say, man, I need 2 yards. Can you get me those 2 yards? What the hell do you think a player's going to say? A player's not going to say, well, you know, coach, I think the smartest thing we should do here is kick the field goal. Hell no. The coach is going to say, we can get those yards. But a head coach has to be the adult in the room. And yesterday, Dan Campbell was still a player and not the adult in the room on the biggest stage that Detroit has been on in my lifetime. And he blew it.
He
blew
choked.
it.
A-Train, I'm going to let you talk before I tell the doctor how wrong he is.
All right. Let's learn something about Dan Campbell, right? 3 years he's been at the helm, right? And already 3-13-1, 9-8, 12-5. So you see he's going on the rise, right? All right, let's understand this. I'm going to try to be the calm one here, and I'm going to try my best to be the rational one here, okay? If you look at the history of Dan Campbell as a coach, because let's not forget, Dan Campbell was a tight end for the 0-16 Detroit Lions back in 2008. Let's keep that in mind, okay? All right. Now, as a coach, they have progressed a whole lot better than they did before. Come on, man. This is different. You can't really fire a guy. But here's the thing. When you're sitting back, and Eric could probably attest to this, when you play Madden, are you kicking a lot of times? No. On 4th down? No. You're going for it on 4th down.
Oh my God.
So listen, wait.
So
I gave you the floor. I gave you the floor, right?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Dan Campbell is going to go for it every single time. 17 out of 20 times during the season, whether it was 4th and 3, he was going for it. He did not care. And guess what? If you saw in the press conference, which I was grateful, elated to hear him say it, he said, I do not regret those. I'm not regretting my decisions for that. Because I really wanted him to say, if given the chance, I will do it again. I'm going to do that again. But I know a lot of people look at this as he was very incompetent with not doing it. Why you didn't take the 3 points when it made it 27-10, right? Why would you not take the field goal when it was 24-17? Then remember he had the fumble, Jahmyr Gibbs with the fumble. That happened. Josh Reynolds missed twice. You cannot blame Dan Campbell for that 4th and 2 where Josh Reynolds should have caught the ball.
But listen,
he should have made that catch.
You cannot.
And you cannot.
But I will tell you,
Jared Goff he made the right throw. All Josh Reynolds had to do was catch it.
But listen, this is why you can blame him. Okay? The first thing is, we're talking about, you mentioned 3-13, 9-8, 13-3, okay, or whatever they were this year. Dude, the same stuff you do against the Atlanta Falcons in Week 10 is not crap that you do in the NFC Championship.
Oh my God.
Period.
I get it.
Just because I went for it on 4th down against the Carolina Panthers. Oh boy, I gotta stick to that. And when you're down to the best of the best of the best, you coach the situation that you are in.
Exactly.
What got him to the NFC Championship game? Going forward on 4th down. You think he was going to stop? You think he was going to stop? You think he was going to really?
But listen. There is a difference. Again, there is a difference when you look at when the game starts to ramp up. Just like Ed said before, I get it. we don't like field goals. You talked about Madden. You don't like field goals. But listen, just one of those field goals, just one of them could make all the difference in that game. You cannot have confidence in your kicker. Is it Bagley? I think Bagley's our kicker. You cannot have confidence. It was a 46-yarder and a 48-yarder. Okay? If you don't have confidence in your kicker at the NFL level inside of 50 to make at least one of those, then he should be gone. He should have his walking papers already.
In today's NFL, the ball's still going up when it's at 45 yards. Jesus.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're kicking the ball 45-yarder was yesterday's 25-yarder. It's not even, how can you, you have an opportunity.
The scary thing is he'll do it again. He didn't learn his lesson in Dallas. He did it 3 times in Dallas.
But I will tell you this.
What's that old saying? At some point, common sense has got to prevail. Well, last night it didn't. And you want to talk about, well, you don't like field goals. Well, they lost by a field goal.
And I'm telling you, you take this to the bank. You can blame Reynolds for those drops, okay? You blame him for the drops, okay? Reynolds is a player. Did Dan Campbell let the entire team down last night? You're damn right he did, and I'll tell you why.
Absolutely.
Because they needed an adult in the room, and he should have been the adult, and he wasn't. It was like he was standing there in pads making the decision from a player standpoint. You can call it gutsy. You can say, oh, this got him here and this did that. But I'm telling you right now, he let the Detroit Lions down because they needed an adult in the room, and Dan Campbell was not that adult.
Are you telling me? Now, obviously, they're not going to fire Dan Campbell. We're not going to sit here and say that they should. We can say he should be fired, but let's face it, he's not going to be fired. But you're kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself if you don't think he lost a faction of his locker room last night. You are kidding yourself if you don't think some of those players were sitting in that locker room saying, why didn't we kick the damn field goals? You got the field goal kicker sitting on the sidelines looking out like, what in the hell's going on?
Wait.
And when you're all wound up and they lost their momentum, they were shook. Don't tell me they weren't shook. Because when they started dropping the passes and fumbling and all that shit, that was a result of the sphincter tightening up, losing momentum, and they were rattled. Okay? Say what you want about the players. What caused it to be rattled? They could have kicked the field goal, went back up by 3 scores. Everybody in the stands could have kept sleeping and snoozing like they already were anyway, and it would have been perfect. But Dan Campbell, he gave the San Francisco 49er players, coaches, and fans a reason to get jacked up yesterday when he could have just done what he needed to do. And I say, and call me crazy, they go back up by 3 scores in the third quarter with no signs that they were coming back. That game is over.
And if you want to say Dan the gambler, why did he kick the field goal at the end of the second? If you're going to have that attitude at the end of the second, why aren't we kicking field goals in the third, in the fourth?
It's a shame.
Right.
That is, look, we're Bears fans. Me and Eric's Bears fans. Daddy Ed's a Vikings fan. They're in our division, and we're pulling for them because they have had such a horrible 50 years of history. This was their chance. This was their opportunity. Their fans deserve better. Their players deserve better. And I'm sorry, he blew the damn game. And the scary thing of it is, it doesn't seem like he's going to learn his lesson. And like I just can't wrap my head around it. You know what I'm saying? At some point, common sense has got to prevail. Again, I guess it doesn't. And here we are. And he even mentioned to his players last night, I don't know if we'll ever get back. Well, you should have thought about that. You should have thought about that.
but that was the thing. Here we go. I see why everybody the panel is saying what they're saying about Dan Campbell, and it's true. My thing is this: when you make a statement like that, and I know that you're high in emotion from what happened with the game and stuff. When you make a statement like that that you may not get back, that's very disheartening to your players. And if they
Oh,
hear it and see it, and you know that they are, but I'm like, they said that they're run through a wall for him, but I'm like, at the same time, you just sat here in this press conference and just pretty much disowned them, saying that they may not even get back here, which is true. But I'm not, at the same time, you're supposed to have some type of level of positivity from even the mistakes that you made, that you already know that you're going to be scrutinized for what, because everybody's going to remember this game as long as they are alive and they are Detroit fans all over the world. It is right now, this is a perfect stain on Dan Campbell's coaching career. Is if they
Oh.
never get to the
And
Super Bowl, that's what everybody's going to remember.
ultimately, if they don't get to a Super Bowl, he will never live this down. And I thought I was over my counseling. I thought my counseling had worked, and I was finally over the 98 Vikings that went 15-1. You have the Chiefs. The Chiefs are an anomaly. I tip my cap. If I had a cap, you wouldn't be seeing my shiny forehead. But I tip my caps to the Chiefs because it's hard. It's hard to get to the Super Bowl, and they're halfway making it look easy, but it's not easy. But
hell no,
there's only so many times for a franchise that the stars align.
right.
Because next year they're going to have a first place schedule, so their schedule's going to be more difficult. Everything is going to be more difficult. They were in line for this to be their season, and it got pissed away because their head coach just made not one horrible decision, but he turned around a quarter later and made the same damn decision. It's like,
Probably made it worse. I mean, hell, the game was tied. You take the field goal and you go up 3. It's like, hell, that might have been a worse decision than when he changed the momentum on the first call.
well,
But-
you have a chance to tie the game with 8 minutes left to go in the game. You tie the damn game. At least case scenario, you tie the game.
Because
You
when
don't-
San Francisco goes down, and puts that touchdown on the board, now you're 2 scores down. You make
It's a wrap. It was a wrap at that point.
Even if San Francisco, you tie the game and San Francisco goes down and puts one in the end zone, you're still 1 score away. But you go for it on 4th. He gets pressured from the right side. He rolls out and throws it to Nowheresville into the dirt. Now, San Francisco gets the ball with all the momentum you've given them by 2 4th-down stops and come back and take the lead in the game. They march down. McCaffrey has a couple of good runs. Purdy has a couple of good passes, and Mitchell punches it in, and it's 34-24. And that is on Campbell's head.
And before you even have a chance to say, wait a minute, did we go for it on 4th down? It goes from being a tie, potentially, to being down by 10. It's just, It's indefensible. The decision is beyond stupid.
Listen, I get it. Everybody's here is saying the exact same thing, is that the decisions weren't the best. But you got to understand, Dan Campbell is a different type of coach. He's going to go for it. He's ballsy, all right? Danny Gambles, right? Dan Gamble, however you want to call him. But I know,
listen,
game on the line. I get it. Game on the line, you make the smart move. He chose to make a not so smart move because he felt at that moment, because think about it. You're the guy in Dan Campbell's shoes. You know what Dan has been able to do. I get it as a poor excuse, whatever. But the same thing, that's what Dan Campbell's going to do. Dan is going to do whatever he feels is right. Now, if it doesn't equate to success after this, like he doesn't learn from the mistakes, then of course he's going to get fired. And then everybody's going to go back to what he did in the NFC Championship game. All right? So, but that's him. That's Dan, man. That's how Dan is going to work. We can all sit here all day and say Dan Campbell's an idiot. Dan's going to be like, I don't care. That's the thing. He's
But
going to do whatever he wants to do
I got
at that particular moment. That's it. Of course, it ain't right, but that's him.
put Mike's comment on the screen, would you? Where he thanks you, where he's thanking you.
Oh,
Okay, obviously, Mike, you're a Detroit fan, and I want to speak to you from the heart, man. I've been a Vikings fan for over 50 years, and I've lived through 4 Super Bowls in the late 60s, 70s, thinking they were going to always get back, that it was easy, and they haven't been back to a Super Bowl since the 70s. So you can sit there and say, oh, we love Dan, everything's okay. Dan Marino thought he was going to go back to the Super Bowl too after he had his shot in year 1. Did Dan Marino ever get back to the Super Bowl? You've got set amount of chances to get to the promised land. And when you squander what you have the way that he did, you can be a Homer Detroit fan all you want, but you are wrong. If that's all you're going to hold his accountability to is that, oh, he's a young coach, as long as you'll wake up in your sleep saying, he went for it on 4th down again. He went for it on 4th down again. And oh my God.
And and the next time it's going to happen? The next time it's going to happen is when Detroit needs to win a game to get into the playoffs or something like that. And this same thing's going to happen. And he's going to stand up at the podium and say, I do it again. And it's going to be the Lions suffering because these are things that get you beat in these big games. It's not week 10 against Atlanta. This is the NFC Championship game, man. But, you know what? Enough about Dan Campbell. You guys get a sandwich. You get a cold drink. Let's talk about my man, Brock Purdy. Brock freaking Purdy. Everybody. I listen to all the pundits. He's a system quarterback. If it wasn't for Kyle Shanahan, he wouldn't be any good. Blah-diddy, blah-diddy, blah. But guess what? 2 games. Oh, well, he didn't have a very good first half. I mean, are we measuring quarterbacks by that now? I can tell you, if it wasn't for a last pass, and we'll get to the Ravens-Chiefs game, if it wasn't for the last pass to Valdez-Scantling, Patrick Mahomes would have thrown for, I think, 31 yards in the second half. But Patrick Mahomes had an A-plus game. But let's roll it back to my man Purdy here.
Who said that?
All the pundits today. All the pundits.
Crap. They couldn't
Mahomes,
have said that.
A-plus. Bo, just
Couldn't
get
have
your
said
sandwich, take a bite, relax. My man Purdy.
They couldn't have said that. No way.
Down 24-7. 17 points. Never been done before. Ever.
That's
And
because nobody else had Dan Campbell as their head coach.
Most of the people are sitting back going, man, I don't know how the 49ers come out of this, man. I don't know. But guess what? He comes out of half. They drive down and oh my God, a shock. They take the field goal and they take a little momentum. Then what does Detroit do? They give the ball back to them because they don't take the field goal. Then what does the 49ers do? They march down the field and they score a touchdown. Then what does Detroit do? They come down, they don't take the field goal, and the 49ers tie it up again, 24-24, and the 49ers take all the momentum. But my game manager, let's look at our game manager. Let's see, Brock Purdy. When he has started and finished a playoff game, anybody know what his record is? When he started and finished. Anybody? I mean, he's just 4-0. And to give you a little bit, he has more playoff wins in basically a year and a half than, let me see, Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott. But they want to sit here and tell me Brock Purdy's this. Brock Purdy is a dude. You saw last night. He picked up 3 conversions with his legs. Were those plays that Kyle Shanahan? Hey, listen, I got this play drawn up. Brock Purdy's going to go for 21 yards. Bull. He made his 2 reads. They weren't there. He takes off his legs. And the kid he only runs a 4.8, but the kid looks fast with the football in his hand. He was outrunning linebackers last night. I was shocked.
Yeah, I would say so.
You know, the only thing I'd like him to do is I'd like him to learn how to slide. He was a baseball player. He should know how to do that. But, you know, the dude was jacked up. He was ramped up. He was leading his team. And per guy, every single guy that came up last night, Purdy got us there. Purdy led us there. Purdy's the man. All right? So I get it. Oh, his team's all loaded. I can go back and show you Kurt Warner's team's being loaded. Show me a quarterback who has done what Purdy did that didn't have something to go with that isn't named Tom Brady. Because Tom Brady can work with anybody. But I'm sick and tired of people coming here, there, everywhere. Oh, Brock Purdy, he's just a C quarterback. All right. But that's C quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. End of rant.
That's where you're supposed to say, and that, my
It's
friends,
the
is the
bottom
bottom line. Because
So like it or not-
he said so.
Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers are in the Super Bowl. So say what you want about him. He's going, and your boy, if it isn't Mahomes, is at home or at the Pro Bowl watching it. Enjoy.
Can I
Chime in, sir.
have my 30 seconds with the Dan Campbell situation?
Sure.
It reminds me of Pete Carroll, all the success he had at USC, and then all the, many, many years he had success in Seattle. And everything that always pops in my head with Pete Carroll is going for it, throwing that damn pass from the 1 yard line against the Patriots. It got picked off from Butler from right over here at West Alabama. That's always in my mind. And think he won a national championship at USC, was building a dynasty, went on to the NFL and did, how long was he with Seattle? Anyways, it was just, and I just keep going back to that one Super Bowl call, and that will be Dan Campbell's legacy. And that is the bottom line.
Because if he keeps doing that crap, he's not going to get back there. It ain't going to happen.
Detroit
All right.
fans are all willing now to give him the benefit of the doubt. They're all
It's
willing to give him the benefit
unbelievable.
of the doubt. As much as they're hurting, they're still willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what happens next year and the year after that when he keeps making bonehead decisions like he made yesterday multiple times in one game. Let's see how long that fan base is willing to kiss his butt and say how great he is.
And why all of a sudden? So, I like to throw stats in here. So, it gives some validity. They rushed for 146 yards in the first half, I think. How many yards did they rush for in the second half?
Not many.
Okay. 36, if you want to know. 36. Is it because they couldn't run the ball, or is it because they didn't run the ball? It's like all of a sudden in the second half, Dan Campbell said, okay, now we got him. Now we're going to throw the ball, and Jared Goff's going to be our man. It's like that fumble, that Gibbs fumble, just in their mind, like, oh, my God, we can't run the ball now. If you kick those field goals and you continue to run the ball, the clock is your friend. The clock is your friend. And you did everything you could to, here you go, 49ers, be the man. And Brock Purdy was the man, by the way. Just saying. And you lose the game, Dan Campbell. So enjoy, the offseason, getting to think about this game for the next 6 months until camp starts. Sorry, Lions fans, but your coach let you down. You can back him all you want. You can say he's our guy. That's fine. But he cost you a trip to the Super Bowl.
Golly, my wife, my Mama Bear still isn't looking at me the same way today. Because last night when I was screaming at the screen, she's like, what are you doing? You're not even a Lions fan. Why are you getting so upset? And I said, because I lived with stupidity for over 50 years now. I deserve to yell at the TV screen because I've had to live all this crap.
My
Yo,
wife said,
hey.
you're going to have a heart attack. You better shut that off. I'm like, I'm
Listen.
not shutting it off, but I'm still pissed.
Listen, anytime I hear about the 98 NFC Championship game with this guy over
I-
there
I'm
on the far left,
telling
it
you,
is the
I'm
most
still getting it.
hilarious story I've
I
ever
thought
heard.
that my counseling had finally worked and I was a better man. But last night, you just as well take my counseling from the last 25 years and chuck it out the door because I went to work today all day pissed. I was pissed all day long. And everybody kept saying to me, "What's wrong with you? You don't look happy." And I said, "I'm not happy." So while I'm doing my accounting and I'm keeping everything straight, I'm explaining to everybody how much of a meltdown game I watched last night. And it reminds me of the 98 Vikings, and I can't take it anymore. I can't.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the bottom line. You still want to be a part of it.
How many people just shut us off in the last 2 minutes?
No, I think they look. See, that's entertainment right there. Somebody
Okay,
that
before-
raves on a team like that, that's hilarious, and it leads to headache laughter.
Before we turn to the other game in the room, let me just say one thing about analytics, okay? Analytics is single-handedly ruining sports because instead of Dan Campbell, I don't care if he was using analytics or he wasn't. It sure damn well looked like he was. But when you are there in the stadium and you're seeing the flow of the game, you're seeing the momentum shifts, you're seeing you're feeling it all, and you coach accordingly. When you do analytics, it's just numbers in and numbers out. Those numbers in, when they say when you go for it on fourth down, when you should do this, when you should scratch your ass, it doesn't take into account what's going on in the game. Who has the momentum? What's the score? What time of the game is it? Is it a crucial decision time? There is no feel in analytics whatsoever. It's nothing but a nerd sitting behind a computer screen saying, kick the field goal. Don't kick the field goal. Go for it. Go for it. And it's like, when can we just take analytics and throw it out the damn door and start playing the game pure like it's supposed to be played? Can we please do that?
You just ruined your own argument about
no,
what
I'm not.
Campbell was doing.
I ain't screwing my argument at all. Because I was telling you that Dan Campbell needed to he needed to gauge the momentum. Figure out what the score meant and when, if it was important to do what he was going to do. Don't let the momentum shift. Don't let the crowd get into the game. He didn't read any of that. He was just
three scores. It's 3 scores. It don't matter whether it's 17 or 21. Go up by 3 scores.
Whether it's 17 or 21, kick the damn field goal and go up 3 scores.
Hold on, listen.
That's it.
Did I just sit here and say that it was a feel? That it's not a feel for the game no more? Is that what you're not thinking Dan Campbell was doing? He was feeling the game. That's what he was doing.
I don't know what he was feeling, but it wasn't a damn game.
You tell me the situation yesterday. Every time it was fourth down, the announcers are like, I don't know. What'd you do? Would you kick the field goal? Would you go for it? Whatever. They showed the sideline. Dan Campbell had decided a week ago he was going for it. He didn't even think about it. He didn't read nothing. All he did was it was fourth down. We're going for it. We're going for it.
Hey.
Doesn't matter what the 3 points mean.
Hey, Train, what you just said, you're right. You're right. If you think that Ed's countering his argument with the feel, you're right. Then you know what? Dan Campbell has 0 feel for a game.
0.
Okay, we're moving on. As the doctor would say, we are moving on because really the only reason why the doctor is on here tonight is because he wants to hear about the Chiefs. So let's go ahead. We'll move to the other game. I got rants about that game too, but I'm gonna
Oh
let you
my
guys
God.
go first.
My rant is this long. So, I mean,
Let's talk about today's athlete, should we? Let's talk about today's athlete. Everybody in
Hold
the
on.
everybody in the stands knew that Flowers made a good catch at a crucial part of the game. Did they not? Everybody
Yeah.
that was there in person knew that was a great catch. Everybody watching on TV knew it was a great catch. Why in the hell did he have to stand up and pose to the guy that he just beat and cost his team 15 yards just so he could be today's athlete? That's all that was. Today's athlete, to show each other up instead of just making the damn play and going back to the huddle. So you know what happened a few plays later? He fumbled inside the 1 yard line, cost his team a chance to ever come back in that game. I called it justice. That's what I called that.
100%.
Instant karma for Mr. Flowers.
Okay.
Yes. The
All right,
biggest,
here's
the
the thing
biggest
with
thing,
that.
the biggest problem that I had with the Flowers play was this. I had two problems. First one is it was blown coverage. He didn't beat anybody one-on-one. He didn't do anything like that. It was a blown coverage. He caught the ball as a wide receiver should. He got down the field. Actually, I thought he should have stayed to the outside. I thought he could have scored on it that way, but he cut back to the inside, and then that's when the whole thing happened. But the other problem I do have with it is if you're going to flag Flowers, the 15 yards, which
Start flagging Kelsey.
which I think he had coming, why are we not flagging Kelsey for almost the same thing? Now,
Because he's Kelsey.
but I'm not saying there's any conspiracy theories. It's the same problem I have. It's the same problem I have with in the Detroit and the 49ers game. If that's Patrick Mahomes and one of the Ravens players comes in late and hits Patrick Mahomes like they hit Purdy on the ground and bloodied his lip, there is a flag coming in from the stands. There's 15 flags on the field. And they're
Reds are throwing hats, skirts,
underwear.
And they're getting 15 yards tacked onto that play. But Brock Purdy gets hammered like that, and nothing to see here.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that hit. But if you're going to compare Kelsey catching a ball, getting up off the ground and doing the first down thing with his hand like every other player in the whole freaking league does, compared to what Flowers did, it's not even comparable.
We ain't talking about favoring. No, sir, we're not talking about that. We talking about you gonna call a spade a spade. And here's the thing. What I'm saying with it, what you saying is correct, but here's the difference. Kelsey knows how to do it without getting caught. That's the thing that you're not catching. He knows how to talk trash where they're not even being in the rest space. He know how to do it without getting caught.
He talks trash the whole game.
He can do it because he's talking the whole game.
He was talking from before the
Kyle
game.
Hamilton, when he beat Kyle Hamilton to the spot and he got the touchdown, what was he doing? He was trash talking immediately. So that lets you know right there, it's how you do it, and you keep it away from the refs.
So what?
He knows how to make it work.
You can't stand over a guy and taunt him and big boy him like you could back in the day. They're going to call that every time now.
You can't even touch a quarterback like you could back in the day.
It depends on no. It depends on what quarterback. You were spot on a minute ago. It depends on what quarterback. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, guys like that. No, they might as well put a flag or a dress on those quarterbacks, but the other quarterbacks can still get hit.
I watched Justin Fields all year long get freaking smacked helmet to helmet, get freaking drilled into the ground and all that crap, and the flags never fly. Nope. I watched Mahomes get touched, or back in the day, Brady get touched, and here comes a flag. If you want to protect quarterbacks, that's fine, but you protect all the quarterbacks, not just the bigger names, not just the Mahomes and the Josh Allens and those guys, even though I think Josh Allen takes a few shots that Mahomes would get. You throw them for everybody. Otherwise, what are we doing here? That's what leads us to all those conspiracy crackpots out there that think it's all rigged and stuff. I mean, I get it. But if you're going to throw the flag for Mahomes, you better damn well throw the flag for Fields or Purdy or somebody else like that.
Well,
Period.
but they always have protected certain quarterbacks. Guys, look, the low hit that took Brady out years ago with the Patriots when it hit his knee. The next year, you couldn't hit quarterbacks low anymore. When Aaron Rodgers got pile drive by that Vikings, what was it, Barr or whatever linebacker it was, broke his collarbone. The next year, you could no longer land on a quarterback with all your weight on them. It always depends on what quarterback it is. Always.
Well, and
that is one of the many reasons why I'm not an NFL fan like I used to be.
Well, and I think I was listening to I think maybe it was on Twitter or something. Richard Sherman, you know, he was in agreement with the penalty against Flowers 100% because he's like, listen, you've already put your finger on the scale for the offense already, and if you allow Flowers to get up, flex, and do all his stuff over the guy, somebody's going to take his head off. If there's no penalty thrown there, they're going to even it up one way or the other. And he makes perfect sense. Those are grown ass men. They are alpha males, man, and they are not going to allow somebody is going to cut them in half.
One thing I saw that was shocked me the most was the fact that there were holding penalties that actually called against the Chiefs. But this is my thing.
Because it's always on Trey Smith.
the young guys, the guys that don't get a lot of shine or don't get a lot of play, they get hit for them. But the talk is that they keep saying them all game. I think even Zay Flowers said it in the press conference that they knew that they were what they were going to be up against. But here's the problem with the Ravens. The Ravens were undisciplined. They were so rattled. And here's the thing. When you take away one whole part of their offense, you got them. Just like that. So that's why I give kudos. If you want an MVP of that game, I ain't giving it to nobody that was on the field. I'm giving it to the chief defensive coordinator himself, Steve Spagnuolo.
Absolutely.
For making that work. I mean, you took the whole game plan away. You took away Edwards. You took away Jackson's chance to run, and you even took away you took away Zay Flowers. Believe it or not.
Well, you're right, A-Train. You're right, and you're wrong. The Chiefs defense did a phenomenal job. No question. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Chiefs defense didn't play on another planet. But I will tell you this. The Ravens did it to themselves.
That's another part of it.
When I say that, I'm not saying that just out of, because I'm the smartest football mind on the planet. I've got the numbers. They dropped back last night 82% of the time. That's not a Raven stat.
Wait. Even when you say that, though, but guess what that means? They already mentally. Why was that the case? But why was that the case? It was because of KC.
Yeah, they gave up on the run.
But listen,
the whole game. It took them out of their game.
I think it happened on the very first Kansas City drive.
Yep.
I think when Kansas City went down and scored, the Ravens coaching staff panicked and they went like, here's the game plan, out the window. That's exactly what they did.
And remember that first drive.
63% of the time, they were on a single running back, single tight end, 3 wide receiver set. That's not the Ravens. Their running backs in the second half. We're not even talking about a 2-score game. When it was 17-10, their running backs, they handed off to the running back 6, not 16, 6 times. 6 times. Lamar Jackson, if you go back and watch the game, I watched the second half today. Lamar Jackson, I don't know what was going on in his head, but he had opportunities to get out of the pocket and do exactly what Brock Purdy did in the Lions game. And he chose not to. And I'm thinking to myself, we keep talking about all these strides that Lamar has made as a pocket passer and his accuracy's gotten better. And he's, the Ravens were the best team in football and blah, 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 blah. But you know what? Sometimes, And I think the Bears did this to Mitchell Trubisky. Not that he's a great quarterback, but I think they did this to him too. Some genius comes along and says, Lamar, we're going to make you a pocket quarterback. Why? Why? Why just sit there and tell Lamar that's not who Lamar Jackson is? That's not who a Mitchell Trubisky was. They scramble on their feet. They get you yards with their feet. And then when you tell them you have to be this guy, they don't know how to be that guy.
All right.
You know,
They don't.
So,
All right.
so the only thing I want to say to the good doctor is I will be the first guy to admit, you know, I wanted to take him so bad and I didn't, so I can't say anything about this week's game. But Kansas City has my respect, man. They do. They've year in and year out, they have shown up and they could win it again this year. But dude, you comment about Kansas City from the time this show starts until the show's over with. And if you realize just how big of a homer you are for Kansas City, the stuff you say, every time you do 2 or 3 posts that I really think you're onto something, you do a post that it's like, yep, he's a homer. And, I mean, it's like, come on, doctor, you got to be better than just sit there and brag about Kansas City the whole freaking time the show's on.
Check this out. As much as I'm not a fan of it, you got to really understand this. Patrick Mahomes has been in the conference championship 6 straight years, right? As a starter. That's unprecedented. As a starter. He didn't play his first year because he didn't play with the final game of the season. The next season, they went to the conference title game and they lost to the Patriots, I think. And then the last time they lost, got decked by Tom Brady and the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, right? So here's the thing: 6 championship games, and he's gotten to 3 Super Bowl. No, now his 4th Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so you got to understand that the level that he's headed, like right now, this dude could retire and he's literally going to be labeled the greatest of all time because of what he did in 6 seasons. Brady didn't even do that. You gotta see it. And granted, like Eric has said, protection, he's gotten a lot of protection for it. Because if you look at his touchdown to interception ratio, was it 3-1, 4-1 right now? It's pretty evident, right? He can leave right now, he get $100 million just like that. He ain't even got to play the game no more. He's already getting a 9-figure contract, 9 figures money-wise. He's done. He ain't got to do nothing. Nothing. As much as I don't like it, here's the thing. Mahomes has been that guy. Doesn't matter what time the game is on the line. I can't believe I'm saying this, but that is the truth about Patrick Mahomes. But he was not the guy in this game. He got the job done. He got the job done. The defense did that one. And of course, like we said, Baltimore, the Chiefs got in Baltimore's head to the point they just was completely erratic. I think we all can agree to that.
Well,
but
you can
from the very beginning.
There was one team that looked like a championship team, and there was one team that looked like a snowball. Because if you look at it, the Ravens had the number 1 defense. Now, Chiefs had number 2. The Ravens offense, any good team this year, playoff teams, they destroyed. But when the lights shine the brightest, the championship moxie that Kansas City has been able to, ride even through this year that was, this wasn't obviously their greatest performance throughout the entire regular season. But when they get to the playoffs, man, they've been there. Most of them have been there. And so they get to this game, and this is just another game. When it was 7-0, when they showed the sideline of Kansas City, those guys got smiles on their faces. Everything's good. You would have thought they were up 35-0. They panned the Ravens sideline, and it looked like they were down 30-0. It was only 7-0.
Hey, because here's the thing: when they first opened up the game, Remember, Baltimore got the ball. When Kansas City said that they were deferring, I said immediately that the Ravens need to score. They don't
Yes.
need to play around. They don't need to play around with the Chiefs. They need to go ahead and score. And when they got that 3 and out, I'm like, trouble has already been incensed in Baltimore. And then that the first drive, I said, uh-oh, things is about to change. And everybody that was gearing towards Baltimore uh had decreased a great deal. Same thing, even though they scored a touchdown, Flowers did get a touchdown to tie the game up at 7. And then when they came back, took the lead at what was it? It was 14-7 at one point.
Yep.
And then like they didn't score again. What was stifling to me was that the Chiefs offense in the second half was stifled. The Ravens
9
defense
punts.
kept them in the game. And I don't know what it was in Lamar's head. Lamar was overthinking. He was overthinking a lot to the point that he took away, like, you didn't even go back to saying, hey, get to what we got, get to the place where we got to where we were able to win all these different games. He said, nope, I'm trying to put Baltimore on my back and win this game. And he completely went against the game plan.
But Arlington, I think
that was the big issue.
I think they all went against the game plan. I think their coaches panicked as well. But I will tell you this. Steve Spagnuolo has laid the blueprint out, at least right now, as to how you beat Lamar Jackson. You put pressure on him, you stay in your lanes, and that dude cannot quarterback. That's what it looked like yesterday.
They've got to run the ball to set up their pass, and they were not able to do that yesterday. And like you said, you stay in your gaps, and he's not a drop back pocket passer. That they had no fear of the running game, none.
No.
Hey,
well,
they
stopped the running
game.
What
they remind you of though?
What's that?
You know what they remind you of? They remind you of Marty Ball. There's the type of offense that Baltimore has. That's Marty Schottenheimer in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And even
look at all the success Marty Schottenheimer had in the regular season.
But wait, right. And that just goes to show you that Marty Ball did not equate Super Bowl success.
No.
Did you catch that?
And the thing of it is, the days of the NFL has evolved clearly. I think we can all agree on that. Back when I was a kid, if they threw 20 times, you're like, what the hell are we doing throwing the ball? You had guys like Walter Payton. I mean, you had all the running backs, Eric Dickerson, all those guys. But today, the reason that the running game is not as prevalent, and running backs, you don't see running backs getting taken in the first round very often unless they're like just a train, is these athletes, these linebackers, the blitz packages and the way that they're able to scheme on the defensive side. I mean, I don't know if the Ravens, if they would have stuck to their game plan to run the ball, I don't know if they could have, because Spagnuolo was putting so much pressure in the gaps on the edge that I'm not sure. Well, we don't know because obviously Baltimore didn't run it, but they just were putting so much pressure, and they were forcing Lamar to think on his feet, and the dude looked lost. I mean, he was rushing every pass. If you look at those deep passes, like in the second half to Odell Beckham, when they finally decided, hey, let's try to get him involved in the game, he was always 3, 4, 5 yards deeper than the receiver because they were speeding him up. And when they sped him up and they didn't allow him to process at his normal processing level, he was dead in the water. Dead in the water. And that's a blueprint. Man, when a quarterback shows, man, I can't process. Like, it's tough for me.
Right.
Man, I don't know. Like, I just don't know. This was a really telling game for me. I really thought Lamar Jackson had taken the next step. I thought Lamar Jackson had kind of gotten over that hump. Last year it was like Baltimore wasn't even sure they were going to give him a contract.
I disagree with that. Chiefs may have the best secondary in NFL history.
I wouldn't say history. I would not say history, but
they are good. They're just not the best in history. I'm sorry. I will put the Legion of Boom against that Chiefs secondary.
I will say,
come on, you serious?
I will say not the best in history, but I would say the best. I would say probably the best secondary right now.
Oh yeah, best
history,
secondary right now, very
but best
possible.
secondary right
yeah.
now. Their cornerbacks, man. There are teams that, I mean, they would kill to have a corner. The Chiefs have two. You know,
And this
the
is
Chiefs
this
have
is
two.
key right here. Says Spagnuolo challenged Lamar to be a pocket passer instead of Lamar just playing his strength, and he tried to prove a point and he failed. See, it was,
Yeah.
and that's exactly what I like. It's like what we said.
Yep.
He's playing in his head because Lamar was believing that okay, they finna try and take away my strengths as a runner. So now I got to be a pocket passer to show them I can do both. Instead of playing his game, he decided he wanted to do the pocket passing route, and it failed tremendously. I
But
don't know
listen,
what the hell he was thinking throwing in 3 defenders in Isaiah Likely's way.
yeah,
Even when he put his hand up, you looking at him like, "Are you kidding me?
yeah.
Why would you make that throw?"
But if you look at it, okay, I'm going to show you I'm a pocket passer. I'm going to show you I'm a passer. Where was the play action? Where was the couple of scrambles? I think when I looked back at the second half, he had 3 or 4 opportunities to get out in space and scramble. So where was that at? You can show them that you can throw from the pocket, but why in the hell aren't you doing some of the things that got you there? You know, how many times do you
I feel like the play
action?
calling from Baltimore was dreadful yesterday.
It was
Absolutely
awful.
dreadful.
Oh God, yeah. I went to look at their stats, and I had to just kind of give up because they had no stats. I mean, it was abysmal. Lamar Jackson had a 42.9 QBR for the game.
Yeah.
So
And
did you guys notice after the game was over, they showed Andy Reid walking across the field, and I love Andy Reid. I mean, that guy could coach till he's 150 for all I care, but he's walking across the field, and he's got this weird look on his face, and Mama Bear is like, "Is he okay? He looks like he's maybe not feeling good or something." And I look at him and I said, "Yeah, Andy Reid does look like he's not feeling that good." But I said, probably what it is I think it was it's seriously, he's considering retirement. And he had with his family, I think, now this is speculation on my part, but I think he was thinking that this year might not end well, and that he was going to be able to retire and ride off into the sunset. Walking across the field, he was thinking, "Oh, crap. We're going to win the Super Bowl again, and I'm going to have to come back, and my family is going to be pissed off at me." But because if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, he's not retiring. There's no way he's not coming back.
I disagree.
Is Andy Reid 72?
You don't think he's going to want? You don't think he doesn't want to go for the three-peat?
Nope.
How old is Andy Reid?
I think he's 72, isn't he?
Really?
No, he's 60.
Oh,
he's 65.
You
He's
sure?
65. I'm
You
serious.
could be right. I thought he was older. I thought he was like Pete Carroll's age.
much as that is true about the 2 years left on the contract, that means nothing if his health ain't the best.
No.
No.
So if he's saying he ain't feeling so hot, this might be one last game where and then he just walks away from the game. Going back to back ain't bad because like guys like John Elway was able to do that. You know, I know what Mike Shanahan had his 2 titles with the Broncos and stuff. You know what I mean? And I would not be surprised if Andy Reid walked away at the end of the season, which means that the Kansas City job would be literally the most coveted job in all of sports.
Oh, you think?
Am I the only one that noticed that? I thought Andy Reid looked like he was not feeling good after that game was over.
Well,
yeah, I noticed it, but I got up and went and get something to drink or something. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's pretty heavy. I didn't realize he was quite that old.
Yeah, he's 65. So at this
I actually thought he was older than that.
I did too. Yeah, I thought he was too.
At this rate, man, as much as I would love, if he does win it, one more Super Bowl, that'll make 3 for him. And it's a good way, especially going back to back, it's a good way to go out on top.
Special shout out to my aunt. My aunt is listening to the show.
Yeah,
Aunt Donna's listening to the show.
She's checking in. Yeah, she's been checking in.
Holy smokes. We're back in the frozen tundra of Iowa right now with some of our guests.
Hey, Ed, if Aunt Donna's watching, we better watch our mouth.
Oh, it's too late. It's too late for that.
I know.
It's too late for that.
A-Train, next time, give us a little heads up on that. We gotta watch
I didn't know. Like, how the hell?
I looked down there and I went, Aunt Donna?
Listen, I'm
I
not
did
going
a
to tell
double
you.
take.
Look, I ain't gonna tell you, but I got clergy listening to the show, so it doesn't even matter at this rate. Okay. So right, all that has gone out the window, and so at this point, it's just a conversation about what's been going on in the latest, in football, man. Like, look, she loving y'all. See, look, there you go.
Now I feel bad. I apologize if I let some swear words slip. Sorry about that.
We love you. We love you too, Aunt Donna. We love
Yeah,
you too.
one thing she knows is she knows the two guys right here.
Yeah.
We're huge football fans, so
Now
she
here's a
knows
good
that
thing right
we are
here.
speaking from the heart.
If Andy Reid did say walk away, that would be a good choice for me to see him, and that could lead to something greater. He went over because he's not gonna take the Washington job.
No,
I
that's
really don't see him
Oh,
taking that gig.
I think that this year proved a point because
Wait.
Kansas City's offense, once he left, has never been the same.
No, Donna got something for y'all too. So listen, he's having just as much fun as y'all are, right? Only difference is she's not on the show with us tonight, but she's still out there. But long story short, as we look at both of these squads, with the Chiefs and the 49ers, right? The Chiefs coming in with the legacy, of course, 49ers, the new group in, even though, now it's a new quarterback that's in it. And as much as I want to sit back, I'm like, I do not want to see this game. I'm like, I have to, because I got to see who's going to close their story out. Is it going to be Andy Reid? Is it going to be Brock Purdy going from Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, to winning the Super Bowl? You don't hear that often.
no.
You don't hear that. Not a irrelevant, the last draft pick starting in a Super Bowl game to being on top. That makes a great story. You already know the movie rights will be out the minute the game is over if Brock Purdy is the last person standing. You know it. It's already going to be coming to them. There's going to be producers there waiting. So can we get the rights to your story? But thing is, those are the things. And of course, Mahomes winning a third Super Bowl in 6 years' time is just as impressive, what they've been able to do. And I know I hate to even put it in this realm, but the Chiefs are literally the new New England Patriots. They are literally right there. It's hard to stop them.
Well, the biggest thing that I would say is the tough thing that the 49ers are going to see is the same thing the Ravens saw. Quite frankly, the Chiefs' offense didn't do a whole lot. They got out to a lead, but then
when you go up 14-0, you don't have to do that. Changes a lot of things.
But what I'm saying is, if you take what you've seen from the Ravens all year long, and then against the Texans, I realize you're not playing the same defense. I get that, but you got to believe. If you'd have told me before the game that Kansas City's going to put a 17 spot up, I'd have been like, they're probably going to lose by 14 easy. 10, 14 easy. Because let's face it, the Chiefs haven't necessarily been the Chiefs, all year long. They've had some real gaggers. But you get into these playoffs, and who have they beat? Miami at home. Bills on the road, Ravens on the road. That makes
that story, and that makes the story
That's
even
impressive.
more compelling. Exactly.
I can't. No matter how you feel about the Kansas City Chiefs, you're a fan or you're not a fan. They beat Miami at home. They go on the road to the Bills.
3.
Yeah, they beat 3 dogs.
3 of the top AFC quarterbacks.
And let's say it. The AFC, year in and year out, at least here for the last couple of years, has been a tougher conference. Yeah. When you look at the quarterbacks in the AFC, it used to be when you talked about the big quarterbacks, it was, Aaron Rodgers, and you had Tom Brady in the AFC, but there were big quarterbacks in the NFC just like there were on the AFC side. But if you look at it, that transition has really swung the pendulum to the other side. You're talking Lamar Jackson
Wah, wah, wah.
Side of, they fall on the side of the AFC. What are you doing?
Right when you started to make your point, you froze, so we didn't
I
hear
know
nothing.
it. I don't. Like I said, I live in the frozen tundra. I had to jump on my phone. But what I'm saying is, the quarterback. Are you done? Are you done?
No.
Collect yourself. And Donna, I apologize for these clowns. You deserve better than this. Let me get back to my point. The quarterback pendulum has really swung to the AFC. And they ran the gauntlet, man. Tua, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. And that defense has really, really, stood up. They've stood up in every game. And so, the thing that the 49ers are going to have to do is offensively, they've got 2 weeks here. They've got to try to find some leaks. They've got to try to find some holes. They've got to try to utilize the superstars that they have on that side of the ball, because Kansas City on defense can match the superstar power of the San Francisco 49ers on offense.
And the defense for the 49ers with Chase Young and Nick Bosa, they got to find a way to stop Isaiah Pacheco.
But listen, Pacheco, I was surprised. I think Pacheco only had 68 yards. I thought for sure he was going to have 100 for sure. I thought Kansas City, the way Pacheco runs like somebody just stabbed his sister. Like, he runs crazy. I thought for sure.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of him.
I am too.
He you can't say he doesn't run at 100% every single time he gets the ball.
That kid runs angry and he delivers a blow. If you're going to put your shoulder down on him, you better be prepared. Honest to God, thought Pacheco was a 100-yard rusher for sure, but he ended up with 68 yards and he really never got going. So that kind of surprised me. But the 49ers are going to have to put a defensive scheme together. They're going to have to – there's two things I think they got to do. They got to be able to stop the run, which they didn't do very good in the first half against the Detroit Lions. And they've got to find a way to corral Kelsey. My belief is they got to try to make those other guys beat him. They got to make Valdez-Scantling, Rice. They got to make those guys beat him. And I think they can stay in this ball game. And – get out to an early lead if they can. If the 49ers can be the 49ers and get out to the early lead, in 2019.
He did it again, didn't he? Yep.
In 2019, they were up 20-10. And in the fourth quarter, Mahomes goes, 21 points in 8 minutes. So, they've really got to figure out a way. The Chiefs' offense is not as strong as it has been in the past. It's the Chiefs' defense that worries me the most in this game. That's what it is for me. They've got to figure out a way to crack that Chiefs' defense, or you could see another 17-10 game. And I don't think anybody wants to see a Super Bowl like that.
Okay, we're not going to give our Super Bowl predictions. We're going to take a page out of Eazy-E's book, and we're going to wait before we make our prediction. So, what do you think, Brett? Do we do it? Do we totally change the discussion to college so that you can get what you've had on your chest for 3 weeks off your chest?
That's up to you fellas.
Let's just get it out of the way, but let me set the stage for Brett so he can really hammer this. And Don, if you're paying attention, now pay attention close here.
Who the hell want to watch the Pro Bowl?
Nobody.
Oh, Lord.
Brett is a bona fide Alabama psychotic homer. Okay?
Wait a minute.
And that Nick Saban walked away from Alabama. I think the whole
Shut up.
state, the whole state probably had a moment of silence. The flags were at half staff, that kind of stuff. And 30 seconds.
We're at
after-
half staff.
Yeah, 30 seconds after Nick Saban walked away, it's like the floodgates opened. 5 stars, 4 stars just start shedding themselves.
You go to Iowa.
Yeah.
And
You
go to
get a 5-star.
Oklahoma.
You get a
and you go to
5-star.
Texas.
You get a 4-star. You get a 4-star. So
And Alabama had their core 10-man roster because even 30 of their roster, they went to the Stallions too.
Yeah. So now the stage is set, Brett. You hammer that nil, just run it into the ground. Here you go. The stage is yours. I'll get my
Yeah,
sandwich.
give him the full screen, man. This is going to be epic coming up here.
First of all,
that nail, sir.
First of all, I was dead set against the transfer portal in NIL from day one.
Well, of course you were, because you wanted Saban to be able to go 3 deep, and the guys would never be able to leave. So one guy gets
Am I
hurt or
gonna do my
graduates,
rant?
next guy step up.
I'm not even allowed to speak.
Eric, set the.
I
Go.
said,
Go.
We'll do it some other time.
Oh, man, are you serious?
Put him on. No, put him on. No, put him up. He's got the screen
Go.
right now. Go.
Go.
I mean, the thing of it is, it's just like the other day I saw a kid going to sign their letter of intent. I can't remember what school it was, whatever. 17-year-old kid pulls up in his Lamborghini that the school is a great thing. Where do y'all get this ass clown house right? Woo! Is a great thing. Is this guy serious? Y'all need to
Go for
block
it.
him. All right. The kid drives up, 17 years old, a Lamborghini, goes to sign his letter of intent. And these, especially these millennials, these 20s, people in the 20s think, oh, well, he earned it. He earned it. How in the hell did a 17-year-old kid earn a Lamborghini? That's not what name, image, and likeness was supposed to be about. But I was against it from day one because I knew it would be nothing like name, image, and likeness. This is pay for play. That's all it is. And before someone says, well, you're an Alabama fan, y'all don't have any money. We've got plenty of fans with plenty of money all over. We're top 10 in our budget and top 10 in our NIL, excuse me. So it's not that. It's saying that a 17-year-old kid, because he's bigger, stronger, and faster than other 17-year-old kids, deserves $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 and a Lamborghini. You haven't deserved anything. You haven't deserved anything. You haven't done anything. Now, after you've played for a year or two and done something, I ain't got no problem with it. But if I was a college coach, if I was Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, any of these guys right now, I would absolutely jump to the NFL, because you've got kids demanding X amount of money out of high school to come play at your school. And, oh, I want my girlfriend to get a free scholarship there too. And, oh, I need a chef and I need a this. And you can all Google this stuff. It's all already happened. And it's just a definition of insanity. And I don't know what's more insane. I mean, I get that the players are taking advantage of the situation, but it's the people that are defending it, like this house right cat. How can you defend this madness? And these coaches, they literally have to re-recruit these players each year, and they can't discipline them. They can't make them do right on the field, can't make them do right off the field, can't make them behave a certain way in the locker room. They say, oh, well, screw you, I'll just go somewhere else. That's not real life. This is setting up these kids for long-term failure. It's setting up these programs for long-term failure. This system is not sustainable. I mean, at what point are these boosters at Auburn and Alabama and Georgia and Texas and Ohio State and USC going to say, look, we just paid out $10 million last year. We just paid out $5 million last year. And, you know, this kid didn't play. That kid didn't play. This kid ended up third string. Well, this kid decided to opt out of the bowl game. It is insane. Now, I don't have a problem with kids getting a little bit more stipend and money like that. Problem is, what's that old saying? When you give them an inch, they take a mile. When you open up a can of worms, or you whatever little saying you want to throw in there, this is not a good thing at all for college football, college athletics in general. It is ruining college athletics. And for any of you to sit there and think that this is okay, it's not okay. Now, on the transfer portal, I get if a head coach is retiring or leaving, like a Nick Saban, I get that. Or if maybe your defensive or offensive coordinator is leaving. But this constantly, where players are literally going to 4 and 5 and 6 different schools every year, it's madness. And you want to say, well, the coaches can leave. Yeah, well, the coaches, this is their profession. This is what they do for a living. This is their job. I mean, there's no comparison. And we can sit there and go back and forth and knock the ball around, like a tennis match all day long and twice on Sunday. But you watch what I'm telling you. This system is not sustainable. And that is the bottom line.
And that's all there is to that. That, ladies and gentlemen, is Brett Full. And he got it out. I'm so glad he's able to get that out. But here's my thing, though. Listen, I understand what you're saying, Brent, but at the same time, these kids that's coming in, they don't have a lot when they come in, right? And you got all these different boosters that's coming in. They're paying all this type of money, to make sure they get the best facilities, to make sure they get the best care, and making sure that they building championship squads all day, every day, right? You telling me that these kids can't get a piece of that? Have you ever seen it's an independent film that came out 5 years ago? It was called National Champions. It's with Stephen James. I can't think of it's the insurance guy from not Nationwide. J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons plays the head coach. And wait a minute, how funny is it that it's a Missouri school that's playing in the national championship? That was the most hilarious thing to me. But that was the thing. It's about a quarterback that's sitting out. He's protesting because he wants to get rightfully paid to be where he's at, playing a collegiate game. All right. It's an independent film. It came about 5 years ago. It got decent ratings or whatever. But here's the thing. He protested. He didn't want to play in the game. He wound up not playing in the national championship game because he wanted to get paid. But here's the thing. I think that these kids deserve to get paid for it. Right. And there was one thing that was said. The only thing that there was Jersey that said, he said that the players get paid for their likeness, cool, but I don't think they should not be allowed to sit out bowl games. I disagree to an extent. This is the reason why I say that you can sit out. If you have draft stock, I believe you should sit. Because
so you're saying they can have their cake and eat it too. So now we got to pay them.
Absolutely. Yes.
Bullshit.
Absolutely. Listen,
I will tell you
if the system has already been
I agree.
That is nonsense.
If the system has already been rigged against these players, they should be able to get more out of that rigged system. So guess what? Hey, if I'm a first-round draft pick, Caleb Williams is a good example for this. He sat out his game. It was a meaningless bowl game.
They're all meaningless.
There you say, unless you
No. To Easy E's point, sir. No, if you're playing for the national championship, it ain't meaningless.
Well, but
unless you make the playoffs
game, it's not meaningless.
Unless you're in the playoffs for the national championship, the Bulls are worthless. They are
just like Danny had said earlier, this is your modern day athlete. You just said it earlier, Ed. This is your modern day athlete. Now, if they want to sit out the bowl and pick and choose what games they want to play, what's next? Oh, well, this is no. Hold on, let me talk.
Taking it like it's
let me talk,
and it's not.
You gonna let me talk? I mean, all right. You want to talk about load management and all right, with the ball games, well, this is not a conference game. That's meaningless. Oh, this ain't a big game. It's meaningless. That's what I'm saying. It's going to lead to other things. Now,
This is a
if they want to pick and choose what games they want to play or not, then they can give all that NIL money back. It's
okay.
simple.
So yeah,
It's
so
simple.
to
It's
Brett's
that
point,
simple.
to
You
Brett's
don't get to
point,
pick and choose when you go to
to
work.
Brett's point, you sit out the bowl game because it's meaningless. What about when you play that team that you're gonna cream 72-0 the first week of the season? Well, you know, suddenly
And
they're
that's
gonna
what y'all missing.
suddenly they're gonna start taking those games like preseason games
You
in the
missing it.
NFL,
This ain't
where
got
all the
nothing to do.
starters are
Exactly.
gonna start
Listen,
sitting
Y'all
because they
missing it.
don't want
You
them to get
thinking,
hurt.
listen,
listen, you
listen,
look at it.
listen. This is what A-Train's trying to say. I think. Okay, I am against name, image, and likeness to the level that they have taken it. If you told me that everybody was going to be playing on the same plane, from Alabama to Iowa State to Missouri to North Carolina, that there's a limit on it. I don't care what the limit is.
Don't forget
But
the Hawkeyes.
I'm just saying. Oh yeah. Oh, Iowa. I can't forget the
There you
Hawkeyes.
go. Iowa Hawkeye. There you go.
If they put a limit on it, and everybody had the opportunity to play, but some of these nil deals. I mean, my God, what do you suppose it cost Nebraska to peel that Raiola away from Georgia? We've already discussed that. So,
And that's what Nick Saban warned everybody about. That's what he warned about. It's going to be the haves and the have-nots, even worse than what it was before. There's only going to be 15 or 20 schools that can compete with to make those payrolls, and that's all it is. It's just payrolls.
Now
it's not a name, image, and likeness. It's how much you going to pay me to come to school there. It's nonsense.
Saying, if you would limit that, then you even the plane. I don't know what that number is, 100,000, 150, whatever it is. Whatever the number is, I don't care. Right. That can be sorted out. But if you don't limit the number, now you have created the haves and the have-nots. But I will disagree with Brett with the transfer portal because Alabama, a team like Alabama, is just pissed that they're now not 3 deep with 4 stars on the edge and 5 stars on that.
I don't have a problem with the fact when a coach leaves, but just because you got your feelings hurt, that's where my problem is.
No,
these kids that are going to 3 and 4 and 5 schools, that's nonsense.
But I understand what you're saying. But what I'm saying is, if you can't have, I hate the NCAA. I think the NCAA is the biggest crock of money making scheme that you've ever seen.
Yeah,
that's my belief. And my belief is that the SEC and the Big Ten, at some point in time when it comes to football, with these super conferences and stuff, they're going to walk away from the NCAA because they're going to see all the money they can make without them. But
you have seen where Congress is at some point, they've already entertained the idea of stepping in with this NIL nonsense.
But the transfer portal, you can't have your cake and eat it too. The transfer portal is 100%, I believe. If NIL didn't exist, the transfer portal is still a good thing, I believe, because it is 100% allowing the student athlete to make their decisions.
Every year.
Well, that's fine. I don't care if it's every year. I don't care what. It's allowing them to make their decisions. The NIL money, I am way more disgusted by NIL than I ever am with the transfer portal. Okay. Because NIL has gotten so out of hand.
What's the problem with limiting the transfer portal to 2 times? Why do you have to go to 5 schools in 5 years? That's just that's
Eric. You kind of surprised me with that, Eric, because being a coach, I would think that you would be more into the commitment to team.
No, I will tell you.
What is it, the commitment to team, that the first time things don't go the way you want, that you can transfer?
I will tell you
now,
why.
And that is your modern day athlete.
I will tell you. I'm not saying that I love the transfer portal because Iowa State loses players to the transfer portal, and we lost our true freshman starting safety a couple years back. I think he went to, I don't even remember where he went because I don't pay attention to him when they leave. But that was a big hit for us. But we're dealing with it in high school. Our state has made it so easy for high school students to move now. We've had high school students here, they play a sport here and then they disappear and go play another sport in another school.
Hello, somebody. Say that again, man.
I mean, I've said it. We have high school kids that do the same thing. And as long as the school board says you don't have to sit out for 90 days and the other school agrees and they can come and play, they can come play the next day.
That's crazy. Yep. And that's happening a lot in the Birmingham area in Alabama.
I mean, and that's, it's another thing, we talk about high schools. I have said for years, I do not think that your Catholic schools and the other private schools should be playing in the same state tournament that our high school is.
Yeah.
Because I'll give you an example. We have a town here or a school in the state that is a wrestling mecca. I'm not even sure how many kids even grew up there. Parents decide, hey, my kid's a pretty good wrestler. Where do I want to take him? I'm going to take him there. I'm a good football player. I'm going to take him there. Well, I mean, if we're doing those same things, we're allowing those same things in the high schools.
Right.
I mean, do I like it? No, I hate it. Because I'm like Ed was saying, I'm surprised he said that because I am the guy. I grew up here. I'll be damned if I'm going to play for anybody but my high school.
Yeah.
But when you get to the college level, and like I said, if NIL didn't exist, I'd be 100% for the transfer portal. I'm kind of lukewarm on it because I understand there's situations. Like, I'll give you an example, Iowa State. Rocco Beck's the starting quarterback. J.J. Cole's a 4-star quarterback out of Ankeny, I believe. What chance does he have to play? Even if he performs well. And I honestly thought J.J. Cole was going to be the guy. But it ended up being Rocco. So you're telling me that J.J. Cole has to sit behind Rocco because he chose Iowa State right away, didn't know about Rocco Beck or anything else. He chose Iowa State. So now J.J. Cole has to play his entire college career behind Rocco Beck if he can't beat him out. Maybe J.J. Cole's a good quarterback and he can go somewhere else. Iowa, they have crap loads of need for a quarterback.
Oh my God. We can use a backup tight end at quarterback. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, why do we want to? I know I'm not a big fan of the money, but why do we want to take that opportunity away from a J.J. Cole or whoever the kid might be? Why do we want to do that?
The only thing I want to comment on something the doctor said, but the comment on Deion, put that up if you would. This is another debate for another show. But, Doctor, I will debate you until the cows come home on Deion
100%.
Sanders. Deion Sanders brings out the most in athletes of any coach there is in football today. You can sit there and say anything you want about his commitment to anything, but somebody who strives for excellence, good luck trying to go against that argument.
He demands it.
God.
It's not a strive. He demands it. And those kids at Colorado that bailed on him, all I heard in the media was like, oh, man, 31 kids have left the Colorado program. So
he had their bags packed for them.
That's right. Because he sat them down and said, if you can't meet this, pack your bags. And guess what? They packed their bags because they knew they couldn't meet his standard of excellence. You want to talk about a guy who's going to turn a program around? I'd take we have Matt Campbell. I love Matt Campbell. If they said Deion Sanders to come to Iowa State tomorrow, I'd be like, I'm in. And Matt Campbell's a great coach.
Yeah, I mean, we've had the same coach for almost 30 years now. If Deion showed up tomorrow at the doorstep, I'd hire him today.
Without question.
Let me get back to this real quick on my point with the NIL stuff. There was mentioning about them not playing in bowl games. I believe that if you do not play in the bowl game, you do not get whatever NIL deal was made for that particular game. Now, if it's for the whole season, or you forfeit anything, if you say I'm going to the draft, you forfeit any chance of getting NIL for the next season or whatever. You forfeit them. All right. So that means for that particular reason, and of course, whatever these NIL deals that they getting, I don't believe for one bit, if they get it, I don't think they're going to do to miss their first game just because they're playing a poo-poo team. I'm thinking that if you got draft stock, if I'm going to be labeled as a first round draft pick, if I'm a day one, I'm not going to play in that game. I'm not playing in that bowl game.
So answer me this,
For
A-Train,
what?
and you better believe it's coming. That player goes into his junior year, senior year, whatever year he's going to be eligible to get into the draft. When all of a sudden, game 1, 2, and 3 of the season, he's sitting out because I don't want a chance getting hurt against a team that means nothing. That he's only, I mean, but you think it's just happening in bowl games? You watch.
No.
The next
And if that
step is going to be players sitting out regular season games.
If that happens, then you do lose out on your NIL deals, because here's my thing. This ain't about you sitting out games. This is about you getting to the draft. And this is about you getting a day one selection. So you're going to build yourself up to get to that place. Now, if you're talking about I'm sitting out the whole season, yeah, you forfeit your NIL deal automatically. I don't think you should get
I'm
any
talking
money.
about sitting out games.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
And I'm talking about
You forfeit it. You forfeit your NIL deal if you sit during the season. I'm talking about bowl season only.
Yeah.
That's
all
it.
A-Train's talking about is if they like you said, you're gonna beat a team 7-2-0. It's like, ooh, I don't want to get hurt in that game. Then you
You wanna
forfeit all
play
your
in that
nil
game.
money. Then you forfeit all your nil money. But if you're going to the Insight.com bowl,
well,
and
hell,
you're Cooper,
the bowl games
and
have
you're
been.
Cooper DeJean, why do you want to go?
If it ain't for the national championship, bowl games have been irrelevant for years. This isn't
Correct.
rocket science. Bowls hasn't been worth. They've been showing the stands in bowl games for years, and they all look like the USFL did for the last 2 years. Nobody's there to watch the games. They're irrelevant. All it is a corporate money grab for these schools to go play these bowl games. That's all it
Let me
is.
answer this question. And what if they get drafted and get a career-ending injury? They got paid at the end of the day. They'll be able to recover from those injuries. They got drafted. Stuff like that happen. Get your money is what I'm saying. Now, with that being said, let's say they play the bowl game and get injured and get a career-ending injury. Then what?
What running back?
They're done.
I
The
understand
NFL
what
dream is shattered.
I understand what you're saying, A-Train, but you can say that about sports from the time they start picking up a glove until they run the risk of injury from day one. They pick a ball glove up. It's not just all of a sudden in college we have to be careful.
But wasn't there a Florida running back that got hurt in a bowl game that was going to be drafted? If I remember,
a Notre Dame
correctly,
linebacker, that big Notre Dame linebacker is what really started that.
Yeah, I mean,
in the
but there was a
Fiesta
couple
Bowl.
of them. I want to say it was a Florida running back or maybe a Miami, that could have been first round, high second round, and gets hurt. I mean, those are the types of things that kind of put this in the forefront, and I understand. But dude, if I'm a first round draft pick, or if I'm even thinking I'm going day one or day two, I'm outie on the Insight.com bowl.
Yeah, that's no brainer. That's and again, I ain't gonna argue with you for a second on that. That's irrelevant.
That's what I've been saying.
But like I'm telling you, it always starts somewhere. And
yeah.
Right now it's the bowl games. Right now it's the bowl games, but
I think it's gonna lead to more stuff. That's what you're thinking.
Yes.
But again, if it leads
without
to
question, it will.
They're gonna start taking away. Nah, man. This is about whole season and draft stock.
Did you ever? And I agree with Ed, but because, and I'll ask you this question, A-Train, because you said this. Did you ever think when this first came out that NIL was going to be like this?
Did I think it was going to be like this? Yeah, I thought it was going to get out of control very quickly, very easily. But see, here's the thing, though. Eric. Even before NIL, players would sit bowl games if that had
Yeah.
something to do with their draft stock.
Oh, 100%.
So it didn't
I agree
matter.
with you there.
It
Yeah,
didn't
100%
matter.
agree with you. Yeah,
That's
100%
what I'm
agree.
saying. with
They
the whole
didn't
thing
used
with
to.
the-
That started what, about 8-10 years ago?
People started sitting. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm
about 8 or
saying.
10 years ago. They
Can you
didn't
If it
used
affects my
to.
Yeah.
draft stock, what's the point of me playing? That's why I said the
You,
whole
you
thing with Caleb
imagine if
Williams.
you imagine if you happen to be a player that doesn't have that first round draft stock. It's gonna come down to where they're sitting in the locker room looking at their schedule for the year, and they're gonna be going, okay, we play the Dental University. We're gonna be short 20 players that game. Then we play Indiana State. Oh, we're gonna be short 10 guys that game. Okay, well then this game. Oh, we got a shot at this game. We're only gonna be missing 5 for that. I mean, if you're not one of the elite athletes and you're just someone going to college to play a college sport, I mean, I understand the money. I do. I really understand the money, but the whole concept of being committed to team is just going to be lost.
But
It's
that's
gone.
the thing. But that was the commitment to. The committed is like what Jeremy has been saying is pay to play. I'm not going to pay you if you don't play. So if you say I'm sitting, then you don't get paid. That's
Right.
simple.
Right. But
It's that
you
simple.
know, do you know who's created all this? You know who created
that?
all this? It used
Charles
to
O'Bannon?
be, it
O'Bannon.
used to be, you played high school ball, you hope to go play college ball. You got a scholarship, you got all the perks and stuff of being an athlete and things like that. You got to play on a big stage in hopes that maybe you can go to the next level and make a bunch of money. That's what college football used to be, and I loved college football then.
Yep.
Now it has turned into, well, I'm not going to play bowl games. I'm not going to, and so you got guys that aren't going to the next level saying, "Oh, great, we got to get slapped around in a bowl game because we don't have 5 of our best players, whatever." But the NCAA created this.
You're
The
going to have
NCAA created.
You're
this.
going to have teams now that are going to be 7-5. They're going to be out of college football. They'll run into their friend 10 years down the road, and they'll say, "Hey, you played football, right?" "Yeah, I did." "Well, what was your record when you was a sophomore?" "Well, we were 7-5, but we really would have been 10-2. But in this game, half the players played, and in this game,
Yeah.
the team
Right.
concept is
it.
being
You
thrown
fellas
right
can-
out the door.
Yeah, you
Well,
fellas can hate on Alabama all you
Stop
want
it.
to,
Stop
and Nick
it.
Saban, but by God, last year when Alabama wasn't going to the playoffs, Bryce Young and our first round draft pick from that went to the Texans, every damn one of them played in our bowl game last year because it was
Congratulations.
commitment and character,
Congratulations. Who
and
cares?
that's what more players and more teams need to have.
Here, let me
Listen,
look
blame
at
the
the NCAA college record book. It'd just be nothing but asterisks all the
Listen.
way down the page. Because
How?
I mean, it's like it's got this guy, whatever. It's
Listen.
I am not.
It
I
is
am
what
not
it is, and
opposed.
college
I am
football
not
is tainted
opposed.
forever
I am
because of
not
it.
opposed. I am not opposed to a person getting the ultimate contract, the person being the best they can be, making the most money they can make. Damn, if I could make millions, I'd take it too. But sports has always been, team sports have always been team sports. And when you start turning team sports into individual sports, you just as well take the team sport concept and throw it out the window because it's good.
Yeah.
Because it's exactly what you did, A-Train.
Baby,
Once
it
it's
ain't
all
no
about
team no
money,
more.
once it's all about the money, then the purity of the sport is
But-
gone.
But listen,
Oh,
if the
college football
NCAA,
is forever tainted. It'll
If the
never
N-
be the same.
if the
Good.
NCAA,
You know why? They destroyed it.
yes, if
I'm
the
happy.
NCAA would have handled the business and not the business of greed, if they would have handled the business before, we wouldn't be in this situation. If you want to point the finger at anybody, it's not pointing the finger at the student. It's not
No.
pointing the finger at Alabama or whoever the hell it is. It's pointing the finger directly at the NCAA. So they can sit back and they can say, man, I can't believe it's got this point. Your greed
Got to this point.
created this problem.
Exactly.
Period.
It's the greatest problem that they ever gonna have to fix. Because guess what? Now that these people are getting a piece of the pie and the NCAA is pissed. But guess what? The NCAA's pockets keep getting fatter. Even
Yeah.
with the college football playoff and these committees and these television deals that they continuously getting, you thinking NIL is going to do anything for that? Man, they just getting barely a piece of it. They're getting a piece. You act like they're getting the whole freaking pie. They're not even getting a morsel of it. And you guys are sitting there complaining about the fact that they're getting a morsel. They're not even getting the pie. They're not even getting the pie. That's why it's unreal, man. That people have a problem with them getting just a piece of it. We finally got a piece of the pie. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go.
And that's the only thing you didn't say, Trent.
That's my bottom line.
There you go. That's
And
it.
that's my bottom line.
That's it. That's it.
I did it just for you, Ed. Just for you, Ed. Just for you, baby. Okay. And that's the bottom line.
That's the bottom line show for this week, everybody.
Brent, I want to thank you for that discussion, man, because it was very spirited. Very spirited. I love it. I wanted it. I swear I wanted that conversation, man. I'm glad.
I've been putting it off for like a month. I'm like, I don't even want to deal with this
And
shit.
I'm glad we was able to talk about it, man. Listen, I'm glad we were able to discuss it. And it was, we got different viewpoints. We still gonna be cool after the show is over. We hope. Right? We still good. We still good. We still good.
I'm
so good.
I gotta say one other thing. I gotta say one other thing. At what point is enough though? Like I said, the NCAA didn't regulate it. It's not regulated. The $200,000 free education wasn't enough. The stipend every week wasn't enough. The free clothing, the free housing, the free food wasn't enough. When is it going to be enough? Is it the Lamborghinis and the 500,000 and the million? And I want the chef and I want my mama to have a scholarship and I want at what point is enough going to be enough?
Listen, when you take the genie,
exactly.
When you take the genie out of the bottle, okay, the NCAA went like this for a long time. When you let the genie out of the bottle, even now, you could add up all of all the money that are funneled to these players. It is this much compared to what the NCAA has freaking scraped.
Oh yeah,
you would come to your senses. I knew you would come to your senses.
But
Eric.
that's but what I'm saying is, I don't necessarily like with the Neil. I don't necessarily think it's good that you give this player $2 million and these guys cars. You can regulate that, but I think the NCAA, if they don't wake up and they don't start funneling the money back to these universities and back to they're just pocket it, it's gonna blow up.
Here's one thing though. Here's the thing with the NIL.
It's blown up. Hey, when are we gonna start paying high school and junior high athletes?
Yeah,
when we gonna do that?
Wait a minute, hold on. Before we get into that, here's the thing I'm trying to get with what you were saying, Eric. That why is something like certain people getting a certain amount of money? It's who they're getting it from. You got to remember the different companies that they're getting it from. And you say, well, so why does Caitlin Clark get $750,000 from Nike? She gets $400,000 from State Farm. And why is Angel Reese only getting $500,000 from Reebok? That's because of who they're getting it from. That's what they're choosing.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that's where I think the line has to be drawn a little bit. I think when you take those individual players, Caitlin Clark, for example, and why didn't she go to the WNBA? I don't think she's going to go again this year. She makes too much freaking money.
That's exactly why Drew Timme came back to Gonzaga last year, because he said I would get paid more at Gonzaga than being a second round draft pick.
She is making way more money at Iowa.
Insane.
She is way more noticeable at Iowa than if she gets drafted by Indiana in the WNBA.
Correct.
Oh yeah.
Correct.
I mean, I don't know if that's exactly.
Even though that's a problem, that's not my problem. If I'm a student, that's not my problem. That ain't. You know why? Because the NCAA created that mess. And because they created that mess, now I ain't got to care about it no more. So
Good for
my whole
Jersey.
demeanor changes. But no,
Good for Jersey.
he's saying,
Good
wait,
for you.
no, I'm saying, no. All he said is that they're not going to college no more for an education. Most of them still are, but high quality athletes, 4 or 5 star athletes and stuff, that's what they're going for because they want to get to the professional level, right? NIL deals. It's not my problem that I have this God gifted talent and that somebody want to sit here and pay me for that. That's not my problem. It never
No,
was.
it's not the players' problem. It shouldn't be allowed. It's not the problem. You can't blame
And
the players for taking the money. Hell, I would take the money. It ain't their
and
fault. It
it's
shouldn't be allowed.
NCAA's problem. That's why they created it. This is their problem they have to deal with. They have to make
Listen,
their bed
if
now.
the NCAA wouldn't have shown all the greed that they've showed for forever,
We would have
I
never
don't
had
think
this
we would have ever
conversation.
gotten to this problem.
We would have never had this
Yeah.
conversation.
Never
Ever.
had this conversation. But the NCAA was so greedy and they felt like, hey, you need us. You have to have us. And then once the genie got taken out, guess what? It ain't
Them
going
wishes were
back in
gone.
the bottom.
The wishes
It
are
ain't
gone,
going back
baby.
in the bottom.
The wishes are gone now, dude. It's gonna be trying to
Yep.
figure out how to catch it and stuff. And he's like, nope, I'm not
Yep.
leaving.
It's over. Over. It's not going to happen. You know, the NCAA created it. It's their problem. But I college football is not my favorite anymore because of things like this. You know, so
Oh, it's
that's my
not the
problem.
same to me at all. No matter what, it'll never be the same. It's. I don't want to really. It's just not. It's not even. It's not the same game I grew up with, but I mean, it is what it is. And like I said, hell, if we're gonna pay kids in college, let's just pay them in high school and elementary school and junior high, and just pay everybody that plays a sport. You know.
Haven't you noticed that elementary school kids are getting looked at already by colleges? Already.
Right, but are
10-year-olds,
they getting paid
9-year-olds.
already?
I wouldn't be surprised if they started.
I wouldn't either.
And
It's the world we live in.
the parents getting what they call those these days, conservatorships
Yeah,
and stuff like
Yeah.
that
yeah,
on these kids. Like
yeah,
you can't touch their money. They can't touch their money till they're 18 or getting,
yeah.
what happened to the bonds and stuff that they were used to getting. I would not be surprised. Like there were kids that's already getting Reebok shoe deals,
No.
Nike shoe deals. So it's
Listen,
already happening, Brett. This
you
ain't
know,
nothing new.
Oh, I think it absolutely happened like with LeBron James, probably when he was about what 9th or 10th grade.
Way before then, sir.
yeah.
Way
But
before then.
you know that some of the people that hold the most power on the planet on these athletes are AAU coaches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
AAU coaches are getting filthy rich off of this deal because they are making themselves a part of the NIL deals. I'll steer my kid towards you, A-Train, but this is the kind of money I got to have. Otherwise,
That's what
he's going to Tennessee, baby.
I know we
You
switch
know.
sports on you, but that's the thing. That's the thing that's happened these days is that kids are getting at younger ages in different sports, and I know this is a football show, but that's basically the whole bottom
Right.
line
Yeah.
that you just
Yeah.
caught right here. Sorry, and we just took up everything on this one, man, but that was a spirited conversation. Oh my gosh.
I'm glad it's over.
Yeah. We got Brett's rant out of the way for the NIL. We got that out of the way. So
All right.
I got to take some more blood pressure medicine.
Close out the show, sir. We've been almost 2 hours, dude.
So I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Wild Sun Winery and Brewing Company, here in the outskirts of St. Louis in the tiny town of Hillsboro. Lots of good things happening out there. A lot of good wine, a lot of good beer, a lot of good food. If you ever get a chance to go out there, you need to make a day of it. The live music, the whole gamut out there. We appreciate their support for this show. Join us again next Monday Is it going to be next Monday? Next Monday at 8 o'clock?
Next Monday at 8. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. We're putting stuff up there constantly, setting the show up, things like that. So give us a follow, and you can stay with the bottom line all throughout the week.
You can hear it anywhere else, but when you come to our show, we're going to bottom line it, baby. It's the bottom line. See you next Monday.
It's time for victory. We making history. We the new big thing, ain't no mystery. Believe me when I say the big game's on.